Okay, hopefully everybody can hear us that's on. If you cannot, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a chat button. You can click on that and you can type us a message, and that way we can kind of pay attention to that to make sure everything's going well. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for coming. I am Quentin Overacker, Director of Admissions, Records, and Transfer Services here at IVCC, and I'm with...
Hi, my name is Eric Johnson, the Director of Financial Aid here at IVCC.
So what we're going to talk about today is basically kind of the financial aid implications of what's been going on with the coronavirus. So we won't be able to get to, hopefully we can get to as many questions as we have time for. They were submitted in advance. If you are watching now and you do have questions, again, you can use that chat feature. So we can do that, but we understand that this is really, really difficult timing for everybody, new students that maybe just started last fall, or returning students, or even students who are prospective for next year, you know, what's going on with that. And so we want to be able to address as much as we can. Real quick, if you have general questions about, you know, what IVCC's response is to the coronavirus, if you just go to ivcc.edu, you'll see at the very top banner our response to COVID-19, what students should do, if you're adult education, what's going on with that, and continuing ed, all that sort of stuff. But we just hope you don't have any questions that can't be answered. So we'll get to financial aid. So again, like we talked about, we did have people submit questions ahead of time. So we're just going to start right into that. So first things first, Eric, what will happen to those who paid out of pocket?
So if, just like any student who's using financial aid, if your class was canceled for the second 8 weeks of the spring semester, you would be also refunded for that as well.
Okay. So kind of a follow-up question to that is, if your class was canceled, let's see, if your class was canceled, would your tuition be refunded just like students who use financial aid?
Yeah.
So that was on the second page.
That's my answer.
Oh, okay. We're having some technical difficulties. This is my first time on the internet. Luckily, Eric has reminded me how those things work. All right, so second question. What if we have to turn in taxes and we have no other way of turning them in rather than in person?
Yeah, so we're experiencing that as well. So basically right now we recommend that you either mail it through the U.S. Postal Service or you can fax it into us. Our fax number is 815-224-0638. That's the best way to get your documents to us for either verification purposes or just other documents we might be requesting in general.
And same goes for any admissions documentation that you may need. Is you can fax those to us. The admissions fax number is 815-224-6091, or you can mail them. We obviously understand, you know, financial aid is different. They're governed by federal regulations, and it's a pretty tough go of it from there, and they don't have a lot of leniency. As far as admissions related documents are concerned, though, we are willing to work with you guys as much as we possibly can. So don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's any questions about that. So question 3 for Eric, the student writes, I received a letter about needing a document tracking letter from my parents' financial aid. How am I supposed to turn this in now college is closed?
Yep, so same thing here. Make a copy of everything that you're submitting to us. We don't want original copies. If they are tax documents, just make a copy, make sure you sign and date all the forms, and then again, either mail it in to us or fax it into us. That's the best way to do it. And if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of go down that road and answer better with specific questions.
Okay, so next question is, I know that after showing you have attended classes for a certain amount of days, you can pick up your financial aid check in the office, in the cash office. Would we still be able to do that?
So unfortunately not at this point in time. We'll be mailing out all financial aid checks that are that students are eligible to receive. We do anticipate that still will be the case once the checks are ready, but just to make sure everybody's on the same page, we'll just mail it to the address that is on file. So double check to make sure you do have your correct address and everything is updated at that point in time.
So the next question is, am I reimbursed for the second 8 weeks?
If your class was canceled, yes, your tuition would be refunded to you, but your class had to have been canceled at that point in time.
Okay. Let's see. So here's kind of goes along with a question from a couple of moments ago. When will we be receiving our second half of our financial aid?
So we're thinking anywhere between the 3rd or 4th week of April at this point in time. We do have to wait to make sure that attendance is in for all the second 8-week classes. And once we have that in, we'll start processing financial aid and getting that taken care of to all the students.
All right, so next question is, will this affect our financial aid deadlines?
So the financial aid deadlines do need to stay intact as far as getting verification documents to us, getting other documents to us. But as for specific deadlines, I would reach out to the financial aid office to make sure we are on the same page. Because I'm going to say yes, they are intact, but specific deadlines I can't say one way or the other.
Okay. So next question is, will financial aid still be effective for summer and fall class registration?
Yes, make sure you do your FAFSA for the upcoming fall. Make sure you have all your verification documents taken care of, because yes, you can still receive financial aid for the summer classes coming up as well as for the fall. Financial aid is not going away.
Okay. So here a student mentions that they were in academic probation already prior to this semester. Due to the coronavirus, I fear my grades this semester will impact me academically, I assume negatively. Will there be an exception for anyone in their current situation?
So this is a great question. So if you are under academic probation and then you have negatively impacted from the coronavirus, we don't want to see that happen. We do still have to maintain the student academic standards. That won't be going away, but we will be leniency given to students who were negatively impacted. If you are suspended, we would still have to have you go through the appeal process. That form is found on our website. Go ahead and submit that through at the end of the semester, and we'll get that reviewed and taken carefully, but you should not be negatively impacted because of this.
Okay, so where would they apply if somebody did have that question?
Yep, so you would get that form either from in our office, or most likely the easiest way to do it is go right onto the IVCC financial aid webpage. The form is on there, you download it, print it, fill it out, and then either fax or mail that in to us again.
Okay. Next question. I just received a letter from the VA stating that I am approved for a GI Bill. What do I do now?
So congrats on getting eligible for the GI Bill. That is great. One way we definitely want to help our veterans out to make sure we are giving them the best customer service as possible. So we want you to go ahead and contact us so that way we can get you can get us documents we need, and then we'll get you the awarding documents. That way we can award you for the semesters that you choose to use your financial aid in, or your GI Bill in.
Okay, so this kind of, I think you've already asked it or answered this question, Eric, but do we get refunded the classes we already paid for?
If your second 8 weeks class was canceled, yes, you would be refunded for those classes.
Okay. Let's see. So, and I think you kind of addressed this already too, but does this affect us getting our financial aid return checks?
So if you were eligible for additional financial aid for the second 8 weeks, whether that is a student loan, whether that's processing or a Pell Grant, you would be eligible to receive it once we get the attendance into the second 8 weeks, and we do process that in the coming weeks.
Okay. So then the next question is, will I be able to finish these classes if not reimbursed sometime in the near future?
I would work with your instructor first to make sure that you can finish them and you can go down that route. We'll take each student case by case and make sure we can go ahead and give you the best answers. I don't have specifics just because that's a very broad question. It might be something that student by student case is handled. But work with your instructors, and then if that's not the case, we can definitely help you out or answer questions you might have after
Okay, how will this affect student loans?
So student loans are still eligible for students. They want to go ahead and apply for. We have different couple of awarding processes that we have to do. You have to be in at least 6 credit hours. You have to be in a financial aid eligible program, and then you have to fill out the financial aid student loan request form, and then fill out a couple of different documents that are required by the Department of Education. So yes, you can still get them, and yes, students are still eligible to receive them. We still have to maintain the requirements that were set up before this even started.
Sure. Is there a time frame for refunds?
So as far as the refunds go, I assume that means like a financial aid refund check, I'm hoping. That should be issued again the 3rd or 4th week of April once we get the attendance in and we start verifying all the awards and get everything taken care of on that.
Okay. So a question is, if I can't get financial aid, will I still be able to make payment arrangements for tuition?
Yes, you definitely can. I would suggest contacting the cashier, get that set up. Once you register for your classes and you know how much the tuition is, the cashier would work with you to get that settled going forward.
Okay. So here's a good question. What do you recommend? Continue with classes and finish them, even though it might mean I get a D grade or possible F, or should I withdraw?
I never recommend students withdrawing. I would suggest contacting your instructor first. Once you've contacted your instructor, you can then know what they're willing to do. I'm sure they're willing to help with everybody. Talk with them first, so that way you know what your options are. If those don't work for you, then work with the counselor. But don't just withdraw right away. Go through the different processes to work with your instructor, the counselors, to see what we can do to help you be successful in these classes.
Cool. All right, so hitting the home stretch here. How come we haven't received anything in the mail for how much grant money our son is receiving?
So I'm sorry you didn't receive anything. We sent out award letters earlier this month. You should have received it in the mail. If you didn't receive it in the mail, contact us and we can go over either why you didn't. Potentially you need more documents before we can finalize your award. Potentially it got mailed to the wrong address because the address on file is incorrect. However, do contact the financial aid office so that we can get you straightened out and we can answer any questions you might have.
All right. Will we be receiving information via email or the postal service since the college is currently closed?
I'm going to say both. So obviously we'd like to mail everything to students to make sure we can get everything in writing to you. However, again, we want to make sure that your address is up to date. So monitoring, keep checking that. But we will email if possible. If you have questions, we're actually not going to send you a letter back. Email the inbox and we'll get a response back to you, which is much quicker than the post office.
Okay. Is there a withdrawal exception for the coronavirus? Can those that paid get their money back?
So that is, I don't have it as case by case for this question. We will do our best to make sure that students aren't negatively impacted. But depending on when you purchase your classes, when you would be, I don't have a broad answer for them. It's a case by case basis.
Sure. And that kind of speaks to something a little bit outside of financial aid as well. So if you are in a class and you do wish to withdraw it, we have in the past week and a half or 2 weeks since this has all kind of started up for us, we've recommended suspending that withdrawal period or that withdrawal feature so that students couldn't actually withdraw from classes, because we want to push students to speak with their faculty first and speak with a counselor first. We truly do want to help any student that we can possibly help. This is coming from the governor. This is coming from the president of IVCC. We don't want students to miss out on the work that they've already completed by withdrawing. We do know, however, that unfortunately, e-learning may not be an option for you if you have a poor connection at home, or if things just aren't working out, or if you've got kids and it's really difficult. We understand that. We just want students to hopefully be able to exhaust all other options first. Our faculty are trying to work as creatively as possible with students to try to make things happen. So that is why we are pushing students to contact their faculty members first, speak with them first. That's really, really important. All right, back to the questions. Let's see, will student workers still get paid?
Yes, student workers will definitely still get paid.
Okay, that's good news. So we've got a couple other questions. It looks like one came in. If you have the program BEST, which is the Business Employment Skills Team, students who were dislocated workers or otherwise can work through the Business Employment Skills Team BEST. Will we still be getting our financial aid for the nursing classes?
As long as your classes weren't canceled, yes, you would still be receiving the financial aid for the classes that you were in.
Okay. So it looks like we have a couple questions that don't quite fit with financial aid, but we'll get to those. So when will my son be able to take his placement exam? That's a really good question. So the campus is currently closed to visitors. So Eric and I are here, but there's very, very few of us here, obviously, to promote social distancing as much as possible. The assessment center is closed. So unfortunately, at the moment, there is no way for a student to take a placement exam. However, there are a couple options that just came up in the last year or two where we may be able to use the student's high school transcript to place them in courses. So it really, really starts with that conversation with a counselor, with one of our counselors, which at the moment, those are scheduled to happen beginning April 20th for any current high school seniors. If that changes, we'll definitely let you know. But just know that students will be able to get into classes in the absence of placement exams. It may not be every single one, and they may have to come back later to take those placement tests to fill out their schedule. Excuse me. But we will be able to work with students as much as possible, and that high school transcript is key. If we have that, then we can work with students. All right, so then the next question is, when will he be able to see a counselor? And again, for a high school senior that's coming here in the fall, we are planning at the moment for them to meet with a counselor on April 20th. If that changes, we're starting April 20th. If that changes, we'll let you know. For any current students, returning students who aren't high school seniors, our counselors have been working very, very hard to have Zoom meetings, much like this one, with students to talk with them over the phone. So while the counselors are off campus, they are meeting with students. They're working hard to try to get all those questions answered. So the first step would be to contact the counseling center, give them a call, 815-224-0360. Again, 815-224-0360. And they'll be able to set up a meeting with you in some format that works. Because registration for summer and fall is coming up April 16th. I already mentioned the withdrawal piece, but for current students who may be viewing this, again, reach out to your instructor first and foremost. Try to work with them as much as possible. If there are, circumstances that you just can't finish the class, as Eric said, this is a unique situation. We're working with students on a case-by-case basis. So we wanted to show real quick, I'll have Eric talk about this because I don't know anything about it, but questions with, kind of general questions with financial aid. So Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you just have questions that may be general and you don't want to reach out to my department for whatever reason, you can always go to studentaid.gov. And then from there, they do have some coronavirus information. They have some about going to forbearance if you have student loans and you're making payments on your student loans. This is a great resource to use to go over any kind of questions you do have. And if you do have further questions and you might not understand something, feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. I'll be more than happy to help you go over kind of any questions you might have. It doesn't have to be, you could be a former student with us and just concerned about your financial aid. Again, feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to help you out and answer questions you might have.
Yeah, so that's studentaid.gov, and right there at the top, there's coronavirus information there. So if you're looking at IVCC and you want to figure out, how to, move this, how to get a hold of any of our offices. So if you go to this menu and you go to admissions and aid, and you can expand that a little bit, and you'll see a lot of different offices here. So obviously admissions, financial aid is right here, counseling, their information is on there. We have been trying to keep everything as current as possible. So if you go to financial aid, basically you'll be able to find some information, contact us. And as Eric said, there's the number that you want to call or fax. There's the email address. If they want to call the number and leave a message, who should they call or what number?
Yeah, you should call 815. I believe it should be on our website here.
Yeah.
815.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
There's Eric right there.
There's
Give
me.
him a call
Yep,
first.
you can call me directly, 815-224-0440, or email me. My email is right there as well. More than happy to answer your questions. If I don't have the answer, I will get you in touch with someone who does, who can provide that answer for you.
Sure. So it looks like that's all the questions that we had submitted ahead of time and all the questions that were typed in. So if you are just, I don't know if you say tuning in or whatever the heck it is, to this Zoom meeting, we are going to send this link out. We're going to send it in sort of the same channels that we notified students of this. It'll be on our Facebook page, which is at Admissions IVCC, and it'll be on our Instagram page at IVCC Eagles, I think. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. So you will be able to view the recording. Luckily, it hasn't been too dreadfully long, only about 23 minutes. But those answers are there, but just reach out to us with any questions. And the bottom line is, this is a real difficult situation for a lot of people, and we understand students have a lot of unique circumstances. So we want to help as much as we possibly can. We understand everybody's under an awful lot of stress. And, you know, we here are trying to do the best we can keeping up with very few people on campus. So have a little bit of patience with us. If you do reach out and it takes a little while longer for us to get back, but just know that we will try to answer everybody's questions. And yeah, finally, that looks like it's about it. So thank you, Eric, for making the time. Thanks to everybody who's watching this now or later. And just be nice to people. That's the best thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.